the Marquis de Lafayette. Born in 1757 and died in 1834 at the age of 76 years old. He was a French nobleman, a military officer, and at the age of 19, he sailed to America to fight in the Continental Army under General George Washington. He became a general that year himself, and at the age of 23, he was an integral part of the siege of Yorktown, which was the final major battle that gained American independence.
Lafayette was orphaned at the age of 13 and one of the richest people in France at the time. At the age of 14, he became a military officer, and at the age of 16, he married Adrienne, and they moved into Versailles, the king's palace. Fellow teenagers King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette became their close friends. At the age of 18, he met Silas Deane and was told of the freedom and liberty that was being fought in the colonies. Against the king's wishes, he bought a ship and traveled across the Atlantic. After 2 months, he arrived in Charleston, South Carolina, and then went on a 2-month trek to Philadelphia. It was in Philadelphia that he met General George Washington, who would become his lifelong friend and father figure. 1 month later, Lafayette was in battle. In his first engagement at the Battle of Brandywine, he was shot in the leg. He spent the winter at Valley Forge with the troops. More soldiers died from cold, disease, and malnutrition at Valley Forge than any single battle in the war. After the Battle of Monmouth in June of 1778, in which soldiers died on the field from heat stroke, Lafayette sailed 2 months back to France to gain more support for the cause. On that journey in the winter of 1779, he almost died from a terrible storm and a mutiny on the ship. When he finally arrived in Paris, he was then under house arrest for not obeying the king's orders. But soon after, with the help of Benjamin Franklin and the king, he returned back to America with more supplies and troops.
Lafayette spent the spring and summer of 1781 in Virginia, at first chasing the traitor Benedict Arnold, and then playing a cat-and-mouse game with General Cornwallis, which ended with the British defeat at Yorktown, after which Lafayette came to Fredericksburg to visit George Washington's mother, Mary.
Lafayette also stayed close to General Washington and not only named his son after him, but also sent him to America to live with Washington during the French Revolution. The French Revolution began in 1789 and lasted for 10 years, the result of which were 16,000 people being executed.
Lafayette was also an integral part of the French Revolution in the 1790s, being a very good friend of King Louis XVI and a man of the people. It caused him to be imprisoned for 7 years, and it also gave him the moniker of Hero of Two Worlds.
Near the end of his life, he came back to America to visit the States. And on November 20th, he spent 3 days in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Invited by former Fredericksburg resident President James Monroe, Lafayette traveled 6,000 miles over all 24 states in 13 months.
Because of Lafayette's contribution to the American Revolution and French Revolution, he was known as the hero of two worlds, and he is a hero of history.